So, picture this. Late 2025, and the crypto market just gets hammered. A massive crash, right? The kind we've all seen before. But what happened next? Well, nobody saw it coming. The world's most powerful regulators, who everyone assumed would drop the hammer, instead went silent. And in that silence, a secret, long-term strategy started to play out.
And we're talking about a jaw-dropping amount of money. $800 billion. Gone. Just poof. Vanished from the market in a matter of weeks. It was a brutal loss that wiped out pretty much all the gains for the year and sent shockwaves through the entire ecosystem.
And of course, the headlines wrote themselves. MarketWatch called it another crypto winter. And hey, we've been there, right? The massive price drops, the panic, the fear, it all felt familiar. But this time, something was off. The real story wasn't the crash itself. It was the strange, quiet response from the people in charge.
Look, everyone was expecting regulators to bring down the hammer. You know, the iron fist, lawsuits, shutdowns, the whole shebang. But instead, the head of the SEC starts talking about a token taxonomy. It's like expecting a tidal wave and getting a weather report. It made no sense. So why the weird silence? Why talk about definitions when the whole house felt like it was on fire?
I mean, this was just so weird, right? The market's in flames, people are losing their shirts, and the regulators' big move is to debate definitions? It looked like they were doing nothing, but in reality, it was the first move in a much, much bigger game.
And then we got this quote from SEC Chairman Paul S. Atkins. It's the first huge clue. He says, "From now on, we no longer just manage this industry by enforcement, but begin to rewrite the rules. This wasn't a retreat, it was a declaration of a complete change in strategy."
And just like that, one era was over and a new one was beginning. The old days of just reacting and cracking down, gone. The new plan was to build an entirely new playbook for crypto from the ground up.
And this slide just lays it out so clearly. The old way was regulation by enforcement. Basically, sue first and figure out the rules later. The crypto world hated this. It was like walking through a minefield. The new approach, totally different. It's rules first. Let's write clear, predictable rules for everybody, and then we can enforce them. It's a shift from being a cop to being an architect.
So, what's the cornerstone of this new building they're designing? It's this wonky-sounding thing called Token Taxonomy. Yeah, I know, it sounds super academic, but trust me, this is everything. You can't regulate something if you can't even define it. Is a token a security, like a stock? Is it a commodity, like oil? Or is it something totally new? You have to create these clear legal boxes first. It's the absolute foundation for a stable market.
Okay, but that brings up the big question, right? Why now? Why this huge pivot all of a sudden? Well, it's because regulators were facing a massive, hidden dilemma that basically had them trapped between a rock and a hard place.
See, for years, the crypto world has been running on two completely separate train tracks. On one track, you've got a tiny little train with a few fully regulated, compliant companies. They're following all the rules. But on the other track, you've got this massive, high-speed bullet train operating in a legal gray area. And guess where all the action is?
And this chart just shows you the insane scale of the problem. That tiny little bar, that's the compliant world. That huge one, that's the gray area. Almost all the trading, all the money, all the liquidity, it's happening outside the official regulated system. This right here is the regulator's nightmare.
And just to put a name to it, who's actually on that tiny compliant track? Well, you've got your big names like Coinbase, a specific entity from Kraken, the CME Group for derivatives, and a few other specialized platforms. That's pretty much it. They're playing by the book, but they are nowhere near big enough to handle the entire global crypto market.
So the obvious question is, why not just blow up the other track, right? If the gray area is the problem, just shut it all down and force everyone over to the compliant side. Simple.
Except it's not simple. You can't, because that gray area track isn't some isolated little sandbox anymore. It's now wired into the very heart of traditional finance. We're talking ETFs in your 401k, crypto being used as collateral for bank loans, complex derivatives. If you just pulled the plug, you wouldn't just crash crypto. You could spark a full-blown crisis in the entire financial system.
Okay, so if they can't just smash the old system, what do? Well, it turns out they have a very deliberate long-term blueprint, and it has a name, the orderly reconstruction phase.
And the name says it all. This is not about tearing things down. It's about building something new. The whole idea is to patiently construct a brand new, fully compliant, super robust financial infrastructure first, one that's strong enough to carry the entire market. Then, and only then, can you start to gently phase out the old gray area system without causing a complete catastrophe.
And this isn't just some vague hope. It's a literal checklist. Regulators are basically waiting for 5 specific things to happen. 1. Get that token taxonomy finalized. 2. The compliant infrastructure needs to get way bigger, like 3 to 5 times its current size. 3. We need clear, solid rules for stablecoins. 4. The big, traditional banks have to be all in. And 5. You need at least some basic agreement on the rules between major countries. It's a methodical, step-by-step plan.
So, where is all this heading? What's the end game? And what does this slow, deliberate reconstruction mean for everyone who's in the crypto market right now?
Well, the end game is actually pretty brilliant, and it's not about a big, dramatic fight. The plan isn't to send in the cavalry to shut down the old gray area platforms. Nope. The plan is to make them obsolete. As this new compliance system gets bigger, better, and safer, all the money and all the users are just going to naturally move over. The old system won't get destroyed, it'll just fade away.
So what does this mean for you, for me, for anyone involved in this space? Well, this whole shift completely changes the game. The questions you need to be asking are totally different now.
If you're building a project, the key question isn't how fast can we grow anymore, it's which track are we building for? Are you building for the past or for this new compliant future? And if you're an investor, the question isn't just will this token go up, it's which assets and platforms are actually going to survive this transition and make it into the new world?
And that really leaves us with the one big question that hangs over everything. This orderly reconstruction is basically a great filter for the entire industry. It's designed to separate the wheat from the chaff. So, as this new order is being built piece by piece, you really have to ask yourself, when it finally arrives, which side do you want to be on?